Today we're actually going to focus a bit on the latest quarter in Ratos because earlier this week we released the quarterly report. What's your comments on the result?
Yeah, I think it was a great report. On the group level, we increased our profit with 12%. However, as you know, when we divested Bisnode, which was great, we invested actually 25% of the profit into shares in Dun & Bradstreet. And they have not had a good development during the quarter. So we lost 149 million on that, and that affects the profit. But you know, this is not a loss. No. It's just the valuation right now, but it goes into the profit. But the profit in the group was good, and the company group developed also very well.
Okay, but if you look at because we have 3 business areas, right, in Ratos, which are those 3 business areas?
Construction and services, consumer and industry.
So do we have any highlights from our business areas that you want to mention? Yes.
Oh, how should I put this short? Construction services, able, great quarter, growth, both sales and EBITDA. Hent, lower sales, therefore a little bit lower EBITDA, but a little bit better profitability actually. Air team, very good development during the year. This quarter was affected by supply constraints, which made the profit a little bit lower. Then we have Speed, a fantastic quarter again, and Vestia, which is their first Q3 quarter with us. Also fantastic performance both in EBITDA and sales.
Yeah, and I also think we saw some really good synergies between Vestia and Hent, right?
I'm glad that you bring this up. Yes, I mean they are 2 adjacent companies. So Jan Jaren, the CEO of Hent, is actually on the board of Vestia, and Vestia's CEO is on the board of Hent. And already now, just a couple of days ago, they went in together in a joint offer to Volvo. And it's going to be very interesting to see the outcome. But the outcome so far is that they really learn from each other.
I'm going to continue with my leading questions. In Hent, we had a really exciting thing going on with the building they were head constructor for in the north of Sweden, right?
Yeah. The Sara Culture House, do you say that in English?
I think so.
The tallest building, the tallest wooden built building in Sweden so far. And I think Hent has a record since before for Norway. It started with wooden constructions in 2005, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this is so in line with the sustainability issues all are focusing on. Yeah. And there is no better material to build in than wood.
Oh, that's super exciting. If we continue to the other business area, consumer, what happened during the quarter?
Consumer, Plantagen, yet another good quarter, great quarter. We have Oase, also their best quarter ever, I think.
I mean, how come? I mean, it's been a really, stressful operating environment, and they are distributing outdoor equipment.
Yes, and they have challenges with COVID. I mean, in their Asian subcontractors, but there is a high demand on their products because they're so good. But also, I think that their resellers are worried about supply for next season and maybe buy some more this quarter to ensure that they have stock. And last but not least, KVD had very big growth in Q3 due to the acquisition of Forsbergs. And Forsbergs is the largest reseller in the Nordics for caravan cars, and I've actually visited them, and it's so fantastic products they're selling. But going back to the numbers, that really made KVD's numbers much better than last year, of course.
Okay, and the last business area, which is industry.
Industry, yes. Starting up with HL Display. Yet another great quarter, 6% organic growth. They made an important add-on acquisition in the quarter, Display Italia, which was the largest supplier to the grocery stores in Italy. So great quarter for HL. Diab, again, their sales to the wind industry dropped by 28%, which hurt their results a lot. And this is in its turn due to a temporary slowdown because of subsidies taken away in China for windmills. I am, and I think everyone is certain that the wind market will come back.
Yeah.
If we go to LEDiL, I think their best quarter ever. Very strong order intake, high sales and good profitability. So strong quarter for them. And last but not least, TFS, our company for clinical trials. Their result is in line or just a little bit better than last year. But last year there were a lot of provisions of one-time character that made the result last year. So year to date, TFS has also had a great development. In fact, Josephine, 9 out of 12 companies increased their EBITDA in the quarter. 6 out of 12 increased it with almost 60% or more. That's quite an achievement, I think, given the times.
And maybe we should also guide our viewers a bit and remind them about Ratos' financial targets. I mean, we have a very clear strategy looking into 2021. Could you please help us remind us what are our financial targets?
Well, we have 3 financial targets, but the most important is that we grow our EBITDA to at least 3 billion by 2025. Then we have a leverage financial targets and a dividend financial targets. They're of course important, but what drives us in the companies, I think, is the EBITDA target.
And how will we reach our goals?
First of all, I want to say it won't be a straight line. You know, there will be some years with large EBITDA growth. I mean, this year we divested Bisnode, right? So we won't have that big growth this year. But the EBITDA will come from continued, what we see now, organic growth, margin expansion, and that's very, very important. But what will happen more and more is the things we see in HL Display and in KVD, add-on acquisitions which make, where we capture market share, in a way we consolidate the market, gaining synergies, etc. Extremely value creating. But we won't reach the target if we don't acquire new, what we call platform acquisitions. Not sure that is necessary, but I think that will happen. So that's how we should reach it. And we're financially very strong. You know, we have 9 billion SEK to acquire companies for tomorrow.
That's great. And how is the temperature? If you look at, I mean, we had really high activity, I know, analyzing a lot of companies during the last quarter. What's the temperature out there?
Oh, it's hot. I mean, you can see that on the IPOs. I think there is no summer. There have been more IPOs in Scandinavia. We are looking at a lot of companies, but there is just a few that sort of passes our needle eye. But I'm positive that this trend with more and more acquisitions will happen.
And also in the area of sustainability, I mean, we mentioned it a bit when we talked about the fantastic HENT project with the Sara Culture House, but how would you say that the companies in the Ratos family are positioned to sort of both capitalize on the green industrial revolution that we're into and also pave the way for a more sustainable future?
We've been talking about sustainability for years, right? I personally think a lot has happened just the last year. Actually, banks where you come from want finance certain type of power utilities, for instance. So we see it everywhere. So of course, and I'm happy you're here, Josephine, with your experience from the sustainability area. And what was the question?
The question was how are Ratos positioned in this and the companies, what we do?
Quite well. But I don't think we've given it enough of focus. But as you say, like you talked about HENT, that's fantastic. I actually was down at the European Commission
just 2 weeks ago.
Just
something? Yeah.
met actually Ursula von der Leyen,
Yeah.
and wooden buildings is really on the agenda. So we can make it more visible, I think.
Definitely, and we're only started. I mean, we have a very good position, but let's move it even forward.
Yeah.
It's time to sum up this interview, but before I let you go, I'm very curious actually about your view on the future. What do you foresee the upcoming quarters, and what are you looking forward to?
There are many quarterly reports. I mean, this is, again, we will grow this until 2025, but we need to continue to be even more efficient, to look on gross margin, look on pricing, and organic growth. But I expect to see more add-on acquisitions in the group and more companies participating in add-on acquisitions.
Any particular area that's specifically close to your heart, or?
No.